Gender is something that people always relate to. I mean, just being here in my body, it's 50% of the work. So this gender fluidity is very interesting in the characters. Some of the characters, maybe it's a female, but it can be a vulnerable woman, it can be a powerful woman, it can be a very, I don't know, soft woman, it can be fluid. Like the characters of a woman can be fluid. And then transitions, it's all about like how to get from one character to another, from one stage to another. This is all in the concept, but it's like I also feel it was going to refer to the costumes I was wearing. That there's like a transition from each layer to another. It's a formal reference to the formal expression, but it's also a reference to the theme of gender and identity, changing identities.
Building the concept of the different characters, I was really inspired from the text that Lilibeth gave me about, which was Gynophobia, which talked about the fear of women. So I imagine creating these powerful women figures, but their power interpreted through in different ways, whether it's wild as powerful or strong as powerful, or delicate could also be powerful. And this is translated through the choice of the materials as well. The first outfit is a cape, which is made from offcuts of different red fabrics that found in the studio, and these are knotted on a ribbon base. So this is almost like a beast or a witch of some sort. Then the next layer, I wanted to work on something more masculine in shape. So we tailored a jacket using a waxed linen. Then I wanted to work on something more delicate, more feminine. So the next piece is a long dress made from a crinkled organdy, which is very light and has a lot of movement. And then it also has a transparency, and it gives already sort of a glimpse to what was coming at the end. And then the end is the final outfit is almost goddess-like with its strings of linen, kind of caressing the body. It really reveals the shape of the woman, and very ethereal.
There is a version of the vagina intact. Wars on women around the world are deeply rooted in the myth of toothless vagina. Patriarchies respond by attempting to control women's dangerous bodies, minds, and sexuality. Start taking a deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Listen to the sound of the music. How does it feel?
My name is Vanini Belarmino. I'm an independent curator and producer. I have been working with Lilibeth Cuenca Rasmussen and Shonepuipia in the last 3 years. Actually, the idea for fluid transition started when I was working for the National Gallery Singapore. And I kept I was really drawn to certain works within the Southeast Asia Gallery, which has a number of female artists. So the first thing that you would see if you get up to the top of this building is the work of Marries and Thai artists. And then I started noticing the other works that were next to it, like Brenda Fajardo, Pasita Abad, Fatima Sheikh, Mela Jarsma, which are all female artists from Southeast Asia. And then I started building the idea of how can these works be given more prominence, how they can come to life. And consequently, I actually met Shone when he first returned to Thailand after graduating from Antwerp. So I had Shone in my mind after seeing his works at his studio. And then I think 2 or 3 years later, I met Lilibeth Cuenca Rasmussen on another occasion. And then just by, I guess it's more, not so much about the practice, but more the energy of both artists, that I started to build this idea of bringing two artistic disciplines, one in performance and fashion design. So you have not just performance and fashion design, but also visual art. So bringing the paintings of the female artists to life through the works of through performance and fashion.
Hello, my name is Shonepuipia. I'm a fashion designer and founder of fashion label Shonepuipia based in Bangkok. So when Vanini asked me if I was interested in this collaboration project, I'm very, I guess, excited because this is something very new to me. I haven't done something like this before, responding to another artist's work. I saw it as a good opportunity to find a new way of working, breaking away from maybe the routines that I have from working on the collections for my label. So I think in the beginning when Vanini told me about Lilibeth, so I went to research and look at her work a little bit, and I really liked how Lilibeth often incorporates costume into her performances. It plays a big part in her work because she uses it to totally transform herself into different characters. And then I wanted to do the same with the costumes that I'm making. And I had this idea of having multiple characters that she would slowly reveal throughout the performance, and kind of like a snake shedding its skin, and then once one layer is removed, she would become another character.
My name is Lilibeth Cuenca Rasmussen. I'm a visual artist. I work primarily with performance art. I think it's really interesting to work in a collection and somehow make reference to artists already existing, and it's something that I have done before, and I find really interesting to have a dialogue with art that's already existing, art within the art, and secondly to collaborate with another creative person who is not in my same field. This is always an interesting, when you get invited to a blind date, of course you get a little bit insecure, and it's not someone you have pointed out, but I was very, of course, trusting the curator that she had an idea why the times it's sometimes, when you, for example, I'm a visual artist and my main media is performance. I use my body and I use text as the body and the words are very prominent in my work, and I need something else to add that into it, and I can't do it myself. So I rather trust someone who has this expertise in creating clothes because this is not my expertise. So I always find like when I collaborate with someone, it's like that I trust in what they do, and then it's a gift what they give me, and I make it happen with it. The gift I'm giving somehow, I think it's always interesting.
And pleasing my ego is my I do worship flavor of grace.
I think like I recognize immediately. While Shone, for example, is quite a young designer, I spotted something really special. Like most of his works are very unique. He's not really following the trend in fashion, so he has his own language, and I think that's very important. Like when you try to find like people to match, and the same way like Lilibeth Cuenca Rasmussen, who's a very seasoned performance and visual artist. She's done this like, I don't know, 1,000 times. She's been practicing for 25 years performance, but her work is really also focused a lot on feminism, like a lot of yeah, that's really important for her work, and she has the capacity to sort of hold a big audience, to carry different stories with her through her body. She has the extraordinary capacity of transforming herself from one person to another. So she's not just Lilibeth. She could be you, she could be you, she could be another woman. And I think that was like essential to building this show. And for me also, like imagining her in Shone's like creation, or like what is the potential of Shone to respond to these different personas, was like something that I spotted. I spotted it in the studio. So yeah, I think that was the key thing, is that both of them are equally strong. One is like practicing for 25 years, one is starting his career, but you can already spot the, you know, the unique talent, the unique language.
Thank you.
So the work Fluid Transitions was first commissioned by the National Gallery Singapore as a response to the works that I had mentioned earlier, the female artists in Southeast Asia. So it was premiered in Singapore. But what was important for this work is that to bring it back to where the artists live and work. And so that's why we figured together, collectively decided that we should really bring this back from Singapore to Bangkok, and then to Copenhagen, to Denmark, and to the Philippines, where all of us have some sort of like roots and connection culturally, and see how it's received. So it's not only the bringing of multiple disciplines together, as I mentioned earlier, performance, fashion, and visual arts. It's also the melting of cultures. The melting of cultures in terms, not just culturally, but also in terms of the context of practice, because the performance or contemporary art culture would be quite different from the language of fashion, or the culture that's prevalent in fashion. So we wanted to see how this would also be received in Bangkok, where Shone lives and works, and thereafter transform it again, bring it to Denmark, where Lilibeth normally works, and then eventually to the Philippines as well, where both Lilibeth and I have roots. Like the work will change in every venue, so the work is never the same. That's why, you know, Fluid Transitions, it transforms, it has a capacity to change the look, its faces, in the same manner that Lilibeth is able to do that as a performer, in the same manner that like Shone is able to provide that through the costumes that he has created for this show. So it has that fluid narrative as well. So in Singapore, Lilibeth did it differently. It was mainly with like a company recorded music, and in Thailand we're doing it with live music. The space is also empty, so she would literally be like a sort of a living sculpture, a talking sculpture, as she would normally call herself. The works of Shone will come to life differently, and I think it would be read, hopefully it would be read differently by the audiences here, because they are maybe more familiar with Shone's work. Also, like in Singapore, where there's like a relationship between the presence of the body, the performer, in relationship to the paintings that they were responding to and that originally responded to, whereas here you have like an empty space and the public.